Mysteries to Die For is delighted to have KM Rockwood back on the slab. She says I should shut up so you can get to the story faster, so... Welcome to Mysteries to Die For. I am TG Wolff, and I'm here with Jack, my piano player and producer. This is a podcast where we combine storytelling with original music to put you in the heart of a mystery. All of our stories are structured to challenge you to beat the detective to the solution. Jack and I perform these live, front to back, no breaks, no fakes, no retakes, no matter how much I beg, cry, steal.
You steal?
I'm going to steal the keys and press the buttons. In the world's most dangerous working environments, it can seem like everything is out to kill you. The equipment you use, the materials you work with, the very air you breathe. Stored energy as a coiled viper waiting for the right moment to lash out. Owners, manufacturers, contractors, and beyond have developed safety protocols to combat sticky, that is, stuff that can kill you. Gravity, motion, mechanical, electrical, pressure, sound, radiation, biological, chemical, and temperature. This season is all about the means of murder, as our authors put their sticky skills and our detective skills to the test. This is Season 9, Stuff That Can Kill You. And welcome to Episode 3, where motion is our sticky means of death. This is Occupational Hazard by KM Rockwood.
Yay.
What do you want to use for a baseline today?
Well, what reminds you of a construction worker? Personally,
this is not construction. This is factory.
Factory. Gosh darn it. I was just thinking, don't say construction worker. What reminds you of a factory? Personally, when I think of a factory, I think of cars.
Okay.
Detroit.
Okay.
And Detroit reminds me of Detroit Rock City, or whatever it's called, by Kiss.
Yes.
And Kiss makes me think of the color white and black. And the color white and black, when I think of it as an instrument, isn't an instrument. So this was kind of pointless. Let's try.
Do you have any ideas on what you're going to play?
Yes. All right, here, let's try out this sound. That's not the sound of a hard-working blue-collar man. Wow, I picked the wrong category. These are electric guitars. Let's try brass. How do you feel about some brass? Let's go. This one. This sound is just called brass. Wow. Well.
like actually play a tune. Don't just.
Hold on. I'm thinking. What about nice and a little synthy?
Maybe in a minor chord. Minor chord, minor key. Are we going with that? He's lost in the music.
Yes.
Okay.
Here we go.
Muddled instructions. My overnight shift as the cold end tech at United Fiberglass Manufacturing was almost over. The day shift tech would be arriving soon, wanting to know how many more rolls of R19 installation they should run. The work order that had been delivered mid-shift definitely had Clint, my name, scrawled across it, so it was what we should be working on. The problem was that the box labeled quantity was smudged and unreadable. When our new foreman, Bryson, circled the workstation, I intended to ask him to find out what it should be. But he hadn't shown up since my 4 a.m. lunch. Here it was.
He's dead.
7:45 a.m., almost shift change, and it looked like Bryson was not going to put in an appearance. I decided to go looking for him. I grabbed my clipboard, shouted to my crew that I'd be back soon, and went to find him. He was wearing a flannel shirt with safety yellow and black checks. Shouldn't be hard to spot.
Unless he's dead.
No one had been happy to see Bryson. A total unknown, get the foreman position. We all thought I should have gone to Hank, who worked this shift forever in a hybrid position, part watchman, part sub whenever we needed, part semi-supervisor. Not exactly an assistant foreman, that would mean they'd have to pay him more, but not really a straw boss either. We'd seen Bryson in action. He could be a smooth character when it suited him. Ass-kisser was the term that came to my mind. Not, of course, with us peons who actually did the work. He lorded it over us. Rumor had it that he'd been seeing the general manager's daughter, and that was a major factor in him getting the position. Further rumors said that said daughter had finally recognized what she had, wised up, and kicked Bryson to the curb. Maybe that'd make a difference, and he'd be removed from the position. We could only hope. Regardless, he was the current foreman, and I had a question for which he should be able to find an answer. Most likely place to find him would have been by the glass smelter. As the most sensitive and dangerous part of the entire manufacturing process, they required constant monitoring. A problem up there would explain his absence from other places. A 4-story platform rose on spidery but sturdy legs from the cracked concrete floor of this cavernous converted warehouse. Grated metal platforms surrounded the work areas. As I climbed the steep staircases between the levels, the pungent dry smell of styrene and resins tickled my nose. I could feel the heat through my heavy work jacket. Although glass melting throws off a lot of heat rises. In the otherwise unheated space, the coal den, where I worked, could get cold enough that we needed to add rubbing alcohol to the tape dispensers to keep them from freezing. Sure enough, when I reached the top level, I caught a glimpse of the lurid yellow and black flannel shirt.
But he's dead.
Bryson was facing the 6-foot-tall control panel.
Dead.
But he wasn't checking the gauges.
Because he's dead.
Margie, the tech who ran the hot end of the process, was backed up against the panel. Bryson stood in front of her, one beefy arm on either side of her, practically pinning her to the panel. Despite my heavy boots on the metal-grade flooring, he didn't hear me approach over the sound of the machinery.
Because he's dead.
I got right up to him. So how about we get a cup of coffee when we get off?
Oh, darn it.
Or, Bryson snickered, we could just go straight out to the bar and get a drink. I knew Margie. I doubt she was really scared, but she looked wary and annoyed. I was pretty sure she wasn't about to meet Bryson after work. Bryson, I said loudly, I need you to check on this work order for me. Startled, he swung around, his right hand raising in a fist. Margie gave me a weak grin, grabbed her clipboard, and dashed down the steps to the forehearth level, where she'd need to record the end-of-shift readings from the gauges. What the hell do you want? And who's doing your job while you're up here? Bryson snarled at me, but he dropped his fist. Better to pretend I didn't notice his aggression. I held out the clipboard to him. I can't make out how much we need for this run. I need you to check on it for me so I can tell the day shift what they have to do. Bryson swept the clipboard aside. Go check for yourself. How am I supposed to do that? I asked. Well, if you don't know, how am I supposed to do it? His face was turning red. Maybe it was the heat. Maybe he was mad I interrupted his efforts with Margie. Or maybe it was because I was asking him to do something he had no idea how to do. You're the foreman, I pointed out. Go check with the dispatch office. Julio ought to know. His voice was raised way above the level needed to be heard over the machinery. Some foreman, I muttered in disgust. Bryson raised his fist again. Why I oughta... My jaw tightened. Ought to what? I have a hot temper. I know that. I work hard to control it, and I realize I'd better get away from here before I did something I'd be sorry for later. Bryson glared at me in fury. He planted his feet firmly, blocking my path. When I took a step forward, he puffed out his chest, set his feet, and thrust his chin out. All bark, no bite. I hoped. I shoved by him and headed for the stairs. I didn't look back. Well, that didn't solve my problem, just got me agitated. The day shift tech would have to get his own foreman to clarify the work order. I clattered down the steps where Margie had fled. She was standing by the tech who would take over for her, going over the information on the clipboard. "Are you all right?" I asked her. She grinned at me. "Yeah, but Clint, I can take care of myself. You didn't need to get into it with him on my account." I knew that. As a sole woman on our shift, though, Margie was determined to prove that she could deal with the good-natured teasing of our rough-and-tumble work crews. Bryson didn't seem so good-natured, though. "Really, that wasn't it," I said. "I needed some info to pass on to the day shift, but he's not going to get it for me. Probably doesn't know how." "So he got mad?" the arriving tech asked. We could hear him yelling all the way down here. I shrugged. "Yeah, whatever." When I tried to hurry down the stairs to be there for shift change, I ran into Hank lumbering up. I stood to the side and let him pass. Back at my station, the day shift tech who would replace me was standing impatiently, his crew ready to take over when the factory whistle blew. "Sorry," I said. "I was trying to get a good number on how much more of this R19 you need to run. I can't read it, and Bryson just brushed me off." The day shift tech took the clipboard. "Yeah, I see what you mean. Can't tell what this is supposed to say. I'll ask my foreman, and in the meantime, we'll just keep running this. Worst thing that happens is we go over the order, and they have to stash it somewhere until they need it." So Bryson is alive.
Maybe Hank will die.
Maybe
they
Hank.
mentioned Hank. They said Hank passed him. Weird that they'd mention that, as a gamer, someone who games all of these. Yes, gamer means something very different in our nerd community. I feel like Hank's gonna die.
I was gonna say, do you watch many mysteries and like the first puzzle you figure out is who's gonna die?
I don't. I know that's a huge part of Columbo. Well, no, you're right, because Columbo, I don't know. It depends.
Even on Columbo, you don't know. You know who the killer is. You don't know who's gonna die.
That's true.
Same on Midsummer.
Yes, Midsummer. I do like. Oh, do you remember that Agatha Christie? I think it was Agatha Christie. That French Agatha Christie show we watched a while ago.
Yes, that was wonderful.
The best show. I would love to rewatch that.
Yes.
I probably won't remember who did it. We watched it years ago.
And it was in French.
Yes, and it was on like Acorn TV. It wasn't on like it was in some weird place. I should find that, and we should talk about that, because that was a great show.
He's a silly goose.
Yes, except he said it in French, and his partner is gay, and just like
and doesn't know it.
And doesn't. It's so funny. It's so funny. Great. The French know how to do gay humor without it being weirdly offensive, because they've been around it for like centuries. Well, all of Europe has. It was never really out of fashion there compared to when it was here.
Yeah, we have to look that up. Maybe we'll post about it.
Well, it was out of fashion because of religion, but not to the degree in which. Did you know there's?
No, I did not.
One small fun fact. Caesar had gay sex with another. I think it was another emperor, and his kingdom was like a little appalled. Not because he had gay sex, but because they heard he was a bottom.
You're making that up.
No, I'm not. I promise you I'm not.
You learned that in a history class.
I don't think it was history class. But there was like, it was like about how, he wasn't dominant during it. Like, what? Our emperor wasn't dominant during, it was funny. I thought that was funny. Anyway, I'm going to... That might be false.
I have
I'll
so
have to
many
double check
things
that.
Thank you for verifying before you put it out on our podcast.
Well, I'm not going to verify. I'll tell you in the next episode whether or not I lied about these couple of facts. Okay, guys?
I keep telling you, lying and being wrong are two different things.
You're right. I'm just going to be very wrong. But I'm pretty sure I saw it in an Instagram post, and that means it's true.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Okay.
That's the rules of the internet. All right, here we go.
Short-staffed. When I showed up for work that night, I didn't see Bryson. He should have stopped by the workstation to make sure I was fully staffed and ready to go before the shift change. I wasn't surprised he made himself scarce, not after what I've seen with Margie. She was proud of her ability to take care of whatever the guys dished out. This was different. Felt like harassment. If she ever decided to actually file a complaint, I'd be willing to witness. My crew all knew their jobs, and the second shift tech had his paperwork in a lot better order than mine had been when I'd left, so we had no problems taking over. Wasn't long, though, before I realized that Gonzo, our forklift driver, hadn't been by. When we had a full pallet of rolls of installation which needed to be replaced with an empty pallet, I looked around for him, but he wasn't anywhere to be found.
Gonzo dies.
He spent most of the night arranging full pallets in the shipping area, theoretically in some logical fashion, and loading trailers which were backed up to the docks. Usually, though, he was pretty good about keeping an eye on when we needed a pallet moved. When I went looking for Gonzo, I didn't find him. But I did come across the lift, parked and still plugged into the charger.
But the lift's on top of someone.
I was certified as a lift driver, authorized to operate it, although I was pretty rusty and the company had purchased a new type of lift since I'd been operating them regularly. We really did need an empty pallet, so I unplugged the lift, climbed aboard, and fetched a new pallet myself. I had no idea where the full pallet was supposed to go, and I figured it wasn't my problem anyhow, so I just moved it across the open area next to the line and dumped it so I could bring the new one in. Hank, a puzzled frown on his face, stopped by. "You seen Bryson?" he asked me over the sound of the machinery.
Bryson's missing? I didn't even notice that.
I shook my head. "How about Gonzo?" Another head shake. "Julio?" Julio's title was dispatcher. On our shift, which was smaller than the other ones, he did a lot more than just dispatch. He served as timekeeper, organized work orders, prepared bills of lading for outgoing shipments, and scheduled trucks. In addition, he was the yard jockey, moving the loaded trailers out of the shipping bays and fetching empty ones from the cluster at the back of the shipping yard to back up to the loading docks. I hadn't seen Julio, so I shook my head to no yet again. Hank took a breath. "Gonzo, I understand," he said. I didn't know what he meant. "Oh?" "Yeah, Bryson was bitching him out last night, threatened to call immigration on him." "That makes no sense," I said. "Gonzo gets twice as much done as the lift drivers on the other ships. Besides, he's got a green card." Hank adjusted his hat. "I know, but Gonzo wasn't happy." United Fiberglass would never hire any WOPs without papers, but everybody knows it's not hard to get a hold of a fake green card, which authorizes the holder to work. The company would just take a photocopy of it and a social security card for their personnel files. But if somebody from immigration showed up, they would check the paperwork more thoroughly. And at a time when a native-born citizen can be detained for days just for having dark skin and a slight accent, even citizenship or proper paperwork isn't enough sometimes. Gonzo, who was young and single, was probably halfway to the southern border already. I asked, "Is Julio gone too?" Hank nodded. "Yep, they're cousins, you know. Immigration shows up to check on Gonzo, they're going to check on Julio." Julio was just as young and single, and just as probably halfway to the southern border. But that did not explain the foreman's absence. I asked, "How about Bryson?" Hank shrugged. "I tried calling, but his phone goes to voicemail. And he lives by himself." I snorted. "I'm not surprised. Who'd want to live with him?" "His mother, maybe?" Hank grinned briefly. "I'm going to the front office, look for a note or something. Maybe he was scheduled off for the shift. He's supposed to tell me if he's going to be out, but there's a lot of stuff he's supposed to tell me. I can check to see if he clocked in tonight."
Ooh. What happened to him?
Where's Bryson?
Where's Bryson?
Where's Bryson?
Well, we technically don't even know where Julio and Gomez are, but
Gonzo. Gonzo, like the Muppet. Gonzo.
Oh, I feel so bad. I was even thinking, like, I haven't even heard Gonzo used as a name outside of the Muppet, and then I still said it wrong. Julio and Gonzo. Well, you just think they're to the border, which, by the way, is a weird assumption to make. The guy threatened to call border security. Where do you think they are? I bet they left the country. It's a vast overreaction to a guy who just seems to be all talk and no bite, you know? That's my opinion.
That's
Bryson
your
does
opinion.
seem like he's going to threaten everybody but not do shit actually about it. Plus, I feel like he would get in quite a bit of trouble.
Bryson?
Yeah, from the people above if he actually did that. Maybe not like trouble, but like you're not in good waters when you're calling, ICE on your own employees.
Yeah, and I mean,
That's not going to make your bosses go, this is a good employer. The guy who's,
yeah,
who clearly doesn't even trust his own people just because, they're Mexican. That's something, but you know what? Here we are.
looking for Bryson.
Bryson.
When I got my first break, I saw Hank sitting slumped at one end of a rough-hewn picnic bench near a bank of aging vending machines. His gloves were lying on the table and he was peering at a notebook. I got a cup of dark, lukewarm liquid that passed for coffee from one of the machines. What'd you find out? Hank rubbed the bristle on his cheek. Bryson never clocked out yesterday. I glanced around uneasily. The space was pretty much open. Somebody could be hidden from plain sight by equipment or a pallet of insulation rows, or even behind a supply silo. But I was pretty sure Hank was thorough when he made his rounds. You mean he might still be here somewhere? Hank said, either that or he forgot to clock out. Well, that seemed unlikely. Bryson hounded us about our time cards. Not that we were likely to forget them ourselves. No clock in meant no record of work, which meant no pay for that time. And no clock out called in the accusation that somebody's left before the shift ended. And, Hank rubbed his cheek harder, I went back and looked at the notes from the first shift yesterday. The watchman found a hard hat, Bryson's hard hat, on the ground by the silos. 2 huge silos provided supplies for the glass melters. One held batch, a sand mix that was heated to over 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit and formed the basis for the glass. The other held cullet, recycled crushed glass fragments, which was mixed in. I asked, could he have fallen into the silo? Wouldn't a security camera pick him up going up and down the ladder? Or going up and never coming down? A headfirst fall into the silo could easily be fatal. Periodically during the shift, the foreman was supposed to climb the ladders to the top of the silos to make sure that they were operating properly and held a sufficient supply that was feeding correctly. A melter running low on batch could catch fire pretty quickly. Hank shifted in his seat. The security cameras don't catch the area by the silos. That seems strange to me. Why not? They got them everywhere else. Well, yeah, but that's to keep an eye on employees, Hank said. Make sure we don't steal anything. Steal anything? I protested. Who's going to steal fiberglass insulation? What are we going to do? Stow it in our lunch boxes? Shove it under our shirts as we leave? I don't know. Hank leaned back. Anyhow, I climbed up and looked into the silos with the flashlight. I didn't see nothing. No shipments came in yesterday for either one of them, so if he'd fallen in, he should have been right on top where I could see him, even if he was dead. I got that uncomfortable picture. Have you reported him missing to anybody? Here's the thing. Hank's cheek was going to be sore if he rubbed it any harder. The plant manager's on vacation, and I called the emergency number right away to report the staffing shortage. Nobody answered, and I haven't gotten a call back. Well, how about calling the police or something, I asked. Hank shook his head. I'm not going to risk my job by calling anybody outside. That's likely to trigger an alert that brings out the fire department and an emergency hazmat response team. Not the kind of situation we'd need that for. You know how much it would cost the company to have him show up? I didn't. But if he's really in the silo and somehow got covered with batch... Hank slammed his fist down on the table. Then he's already dead, and it won't hurt to wait until the day shift foreman gets here. He makes the big bucks. Let him make the big decision and take the big risks. Well, that I could understand. Anything else you can think of that might have happened to him? Hank looked down at his gloves. Glass melter. I took a sip of my so-called coffee. What about the glass melter? He picked up the notebook. Remember when you first hired in? my drink was bitter, but it probably had a ton of caffeine in it. What about when I first hired in? He tore a blank page out of the notebook. Didn't they take a piece of paper like this? I remembered. Yeah. And he crumpled the paper. They tossed it into the melter. What happened to it? I did remember, vividly. It didn't even burn. It vaporized before it ever hit the molten glass. He closed his eyes. That's what would happen if a person landed in the melter. They'd vaporize. Nothing recognizable left. I cradled my paper cup. Nothing? Nope. He opened his eyes and stared at the tabletop. Maybe when they skimmed the slag off of it, there might be something from a belt buckle or steel toes from work boots or something, but you'd never be able to tell what it had been.
Why are they assuming he's dead?
Because they can't find him. He didn't clock out. He never left. And Hank searched and he hasn't found him.
You don't think he just forgot to clock out?
Do you think he didn't clock out?
No, I'm saying, if I worked in a factory and a guy didn't clock out and we couldn't find him, I wouldn't think he died. I worked at Bob Evans. I worked at Bob Evans, and when our cook didn't show up, I didn't think he was in the fryer. Okay? I didn't think he was head first being served on his chicken nuggets. Okay? I just thought, it's Bob Evans. People don't show up all the time. It's
I think what we have here
is
that
always show up.
Bryce, this is atypical for Bryson. It's atypical that he didn't clock out. It's atypical that he didn't show up.
Look, I'm not saying he isn't dead. He's definitely dead. I'm saying it's weird how quickly they came to the conclusion he's dead.
Hey, y'all, I want you to be impressed how Jack is arguing with me and playing the piano at the same time.
I'm playing 4 notes. Oh, yeah, I'm playing 4 notes with my left hand, and the rhythm is changing if you really listen, because I can't keep it consistent and talk. So don't be that impressed, guys. Don't be that impressed. Anyway. Sorry, continue.
Now I forgot where I was.
Oh, no.
Nope, he opened his eyes and stared at the table. Maybe they skimmed the slag off of it. There might be something from a belt buckle or the steel toes of work boots or something, but you'd never be able to tell what it had been. I looked away. Has that ever happened that you know of? Once. He shrugged his huge shoulders. A guy wanted to kill himself, took a running leap and dove into the melter. It was quick, I'll say that. I didn't want the last of my coffee, but I downed it anyway. Did you see that happen? He blinked rapidly. Yeah, I was the hot end tech. It was my foreman.
Hank did it.
Lurched.
Hank did it.
Did you know why he did it?
Because Hank did it.
Hank straightened up. A lot of things. His wife left him. He was drinking, got in his car and hit a school bus, hurt some kids. I heard he was caught putting in for overtime hours he didn't work. They were probably going to let him go. He didn't see much point in living anymore, I guess. All I could think was, that's tough. Yeah, Hank's mouth twisted. They took his weight in glass out of that batch and gave it to his widow to bury. Gave it to his widow? Well, that seemed weird. The one who'd left him? Well, not straight to the widow. Hank leaned back. They sent her to the funeral home, and since she was in line for a settlement from the company and his life insurance, she kind of forgot she was going to divorce him. That didn't sound like Bryson to me. I can't see Bryson doing that. He's so full of himself since he got made foreman. Hank stood up, but he got the job by kissing ass and dating the boss's daughter. He don't know what he's doing. I'll catch up with him eventually. And I heard the daughter's done with him. You know, mostly things here run by themselves, I noted, especially on our shift. They give us target goals and we work as a team, not many decisions to be made. I'm not sure we really need a foreman. Although, not having a lift driver, that's a pain. Yeah, Hank picked up his notebook. When was the last time you saw Bryson? Thought back. Just before the shift ended. The work order was a mess, and I didn't want to turn it over to the day shift tech like that, so I went looking for Bryson. Did you find him? Hank asked. I glanced at the machinery. Yeah, up by the melters. I had to go all the way up there to ask him, but he didn't do anything. I had to leave it like that and let day shift figure it out. Hank glanced down at his notes. What was he doing that he didn't go find out for you? Well, I looked around uneasily. He had Margie backed up against the control panel and was trying to get her to meet him after work. Did you report that? Hank asked. No, Margie wouldn't want me to. I shrugged. I told her in the past I'll be a witness for her if she wants to report somebody for harassment, but I won't be the one who says anything. Hank shook his head. Do you think this was really harassment? I mean, lots of people tease her, and she gives as good as she gets. I wouldn't want to be the guy she got pissed at. But Bryson's her boss, I pointed out. That's different. And he had her backed up against the control panel, standing in front of her, leaning over her, one hand on each side, and she was kind of trapped. What did you say to him? Hank asked. I shook my head. Hey, he's my boss too. Soon as I realized I was up there, he backed off. Margie grabbed the clipboard and scurried down to the forehearth level. Hank shoved his hard hat a bit further back on his head. Then what? I frowned. Bryson lit into me for being away from my workstation. Wouldn't listen to what I needed to ask. Then he planted himself in front of the stairs and blocked my way. You must have been pretty PO'd at him, Hank said. Yeah, I was pretty PO'd. I shoved him, and I was shoved by him, and I went down the stairs. Hank looked at me and raised his eyebrows. You may have been the last person to see him. You sure you didn't shove him toward the melter? No! I hadn't even thought of that. A bit belatedly, I realized I should have kept my mouth shut, although the news of my little spat with Bryson would spread quickly anyhow. No point denying it. Could Margie have come back and pushed him into the melter? I dismissed the idea from my head.
I won't. It's Hank. Hank all the way, okay? 99% chance it's the Hank man.
It's the Hank man?
Either the Hank man or, like, I don't know. Julio and Gomez are missing. What?
Gonzo.
Gosh darn it. Gosh darn it. I got the G stuck.
You do. You
G
got the
is
go.
Stuck in Gomez.
Yeah, Gonzo, go. Yeah.
Well, it's the G,
it's the G,
the A, and the Z. Gomez, Gonzo. I'm so annoyed at myself for this. I will fix it, guys. I'll get it. I promise.
No, you can't get it. We don't edit
It'd be
like
worse
that.
if I called, like, Allegra Claritin.
That's way back from season 4.
Or, yeah, the character of Allegra. That story has stuck with me a strange amount.
Yeah.
I don't remember who wrote it, but they deserve some kind of award.
I believe, didn't Judy Post write that one?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds right.
She passed away a bit ago.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
My bad.
I'm very happy we have one of her stories.
Yeah.
All right. Setting priorities. I guess we're just going to have to do the best we can, Hank said. Shutting down the line isn't an option, so we keep it running. We can do that, I agreed. And we can't leave the hot end unmanned, Hank continued. Too dangerous. Margie will have to stay there. The temptation was great to say if Margie weren't there, the hot end would be unwomaned. But I didn't figure Hank was in any shape to appreciate such observations. So I kept my mouth shut. I got into the dispatch office to make sure we're running something useful, even if we get a little off schedule, he said. And a trucker's due in early to pick up a load. We need to load that trailer. That is way above all of our pay grades, I told him. It's not our fault 3 people didn't show up for work, or that management didn't leave a good contact number. I'll just keep running the same stuff all night. It's one of those most common products we make. Somebody will order it sooner or later. Hank glared at me. I said, we're going to do the best we can, not what's easiest. I shrugged. Okay, you're the boss. Tell me what you want to do. Can you handle forklift operations, he asked. Well, yeah, theoretically, I scratched my chin. I mean, I can switch the pallets out when they're full and bring in empty ones. Get more paper backing, that kind of thing. He glanced down at his notes. How about loading that trailer? I could do it, I said, but then I wouldn't be here to keep an eye on this operation or run the hourly quality checks in the lab, and I'm not climbing up the silos to check supply levels. Climbing up that vertical ladder made me dizzy. Hank shook his head. I'll keep an eye on the silos. How often does the testing find a problem? I had to admit the test results were almost universally unremarkable. But, I told him, if there is a problem and we don't catch it, a whole batch could be ruined. I don't like to take that chance. I'll take that chance, Hank said grimly. And while you're loading the trailer, I'll stay here nearby. You got a pretty good crew. They know what to do. Hank handed me the clipboard he'd gotten from the dispatcher's office. I took it reluctantly. I'd have to run a quality control check if we switch products, even if I skip the rest of them. Hank ignored that. He said, if things are running okay here, you get started on loading that trailer. I nodded. Okay, as long as nobody blames me if things go south. I almost added, along with Gonzo and Julio, but I didn't think Hank would appreciate that either. Guiding the unfamiliar forklift, I picked up the pallet that I'd moved earlier. It probably wasn't intended for the shipment I'd be loading, but it was R19, what the packing list Hank had given me called for. Somebody else could straighten out inventory later. On the lift, I rumbled down the narrow, covered alley past the silos. The pavement was rougher than I remembered it, or the new lift wasn't as steady as the old ones had been.
There's a body in the tracks.
It hit a bump hard, and the load started to shift, almost slipping off the forks.
What do you think that bump was?
The lift fishtailed. I stopped, eased the load to the ground, and picked it up again, making sure it was solidly on the forks. Then I proceeded, at a much slower pace, onto the staging area behind the loading docks. Thank goodness rolls of fiberglass insulation make a somewhat indestructible load. The shipping order said that the shipment would go out loading dock 6. I pulled up to it and got off the forklift to open the overhead door. It screeched up, letting in a blast of cold night air, carrying with it the odor of tar and dirt and diesel exhaust.
And decaying man.
Harsh lights glinted off wet asphalt, illuminating almost an empty freight yard. Where was the trailer I was supposed to be loading? Not backed into dock 6. Maybe they had the wrong number. I stepped out into the light drizzle, but none of the bays had a trailer backed up to the dock. Across the yard was a cluster of trailers waiting to be pulled up to the docks. One was already hitched to the tractor. I wasn't about to try to maneuver that baby into a loading bay, backwards. Abandoning the forklift, I went back down the alley to report the latest development to Hank. As I went past the silos, I noticed tire skid marks and some stains on the concrete surface. They looked pretty fresh. Surely my little unsteady incident hadn't been enough to leave skid marks, had it? One of the silos had some paint scraped off the side and a dent. My load had slipped, but I'd stopped it right away, and I didn't think I was near enough to the silo wall for a pallet to have made contact with it and left a dent. A wooden pallet wouldn't even leave a dent. I was sure I hadn't hit it with the metal fork. It could have been there for months. But when I looked closer, where the paint had been scraped away, the exposed metal looked fresh. No rust. Just in case, though, I thought I wouldn't report my almost mishap. Now I was glad to know that there was no working security cameras in that alley. When I told Hank there was no trailer at the loading dock, he scowled. Well, there's a bunch of them at the back of the yard. Keys to the tractor are in the dispatcher's office on the hook over the desk. Oh no! I'd almost messed up with the forklift. I wasn't about to back a huge trailer into a place. I've never done any yard jockeying, and my industrial truck permit doesn't cover it. You'll have to fetch it. He glared at me, but he asked, Which dock is it? 6, I responded, as if I didn't realize how annoyed he was. He was probably no more comfortable with the tricky business of backing trailers into loading docks than I was, but he did hold an over-the-road license which covered 18-wheelers, and he was in charge. He stomped off. It was a good 45 minutes before he was back again. "It's in place. Go load the damn thing," he snarled. I headed back to the dock. Sure enough, a trailer was backed up to the dock. Little crooked and off-center, which would make it more difficult to load, but I figured I could handle that. The swing doors were shut. I pulled the handles of the locking rods out and rotated them to release the cams. Then I shoved the doors open. Trailer was supposed to be empty.
You said there's a body in it.
Several rows of pallets, each containing rolls of insulation, were lined up neatly halfway down. A clipboard lay on the floor of the trailer. Bending down, I picked it up. It appeared to be a copy of the same work order that had given me such grief before I left yesterday. Where the quantity on mine had been scratched out and written over so I couldn't make it out, this one was clear. Was the trailer loaded all the way to the front? I climbed up on a pallet so I could see over the rolls of insulation. The load went all the way to the front, but there was a gap between two rows.
Where there's a body.
I climbed a bit higher to see if something was caught there. Something was.
Bryson.
As my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I could see a person lying propped on a roll of insulation. The torso was wearing the distinctive yellow and black flannel shirt. Bryson's shirt. A huge gash was torn in the middle of the shirt, and it was surrounded by dried blood. Bryson was dead.
That took so long for him to die. I have nothing against it. I'm just surprised. Like how far are we into this episode? This is one of the longest. We're 41 minutes in and he's just died. Well, he didn't just die, but we were just discovering him. I think, KM, you might hold the record to the longest amount of time before a character dies in a murder mystery.
I don't know. I think it would be tight with the pickleball one.
Oh, pickleball did take a while as well.
I think
that
he
happened,
died
right
before deliberation.
How long was that episode?
That I don't know.
Maybe I should keep more. I should keep a spreadsheet of like achievements. And then people are going to be like, I made this 4-hour podcast. He dies at hour 3:99 or whatever, 3:54.
Oh my goodness.
That'd be funny.
All right.
So who died? Bryson, right? And
Bryson.
Gonzo, oh my God. I remember it. I really was about to say Gomez. Gonzo and Julio are still nowhere to be found. But we are still assuming, I guess, they ran. Which would have been good because the police are about to show up. So it's a good... Well, maybe they ran because... Well, at this point, it's really... I'm sure they're going to be the two prime suspects. But I still got money on Hank. I got money on Hank.
Police investigate what?
Hank wouldn't have brought that truck in. If Hank killed him and put his body there, he wouldn't have brought that truck in. I'm trying to solve this mystery way too quickly, guys. I'm sorry. I'll stop. I'll shut up. Let's figure out what happened.
Okay, police investigate.
Yes.
The cops wanted us all to gather in the office conference room and didn't quite understand that we couldn't just throw a switch and shut down the line. Finally, Margie, who was the most well-spoken of our bunch, told them if the molten glass overflowed either of the melters or the forehearth, which it would eventually do if we tried to shut the line down, it would start raging fires that the local response teams would find impossible to fight. They'd have to call in specialists, who would take a while to get there. Maybe she exaggerated a bit, but when she said it could burn half the town down, but it would create a huge hot inferno that would send superheated air out over the town. Air that would carry toxins and might be hot enough to burn lungs and set small fires. So they let us run the line and called us in one at a time. They called it interviewing, but I figured it was more like an interrogation. With my little spat with Bryson yesterday, I wasn't looking forward to it. At least there was no way I could load that trailer. It was now a crime scene. They sent me back to the coal den, where I had to fill in as members of the crew were called one by one to talk to the cops. They got to me toward the end, just before the day shift foreman was due to arrive. He would be in for a shock. So would the management types who hadn't left a good emergency contact. Seated in the polished conference room in my grimy coveralls, I wondered if Margie had mentioned my little spat with Bryson. I need not have wondered. Of course she had. No point in lying. The cop introduced himself as Detective Conrad, and he addressed me as Clint, an attempt to show who deserved respect around here and who didn't. I understand that you may have been the last person to have seen the victim alive, Clint, Detective Conrad said. I flinched. I don't know about that. I needed to talk to him just before the shift ended yesterday. He checked his notes. Was that up by the glass melters? When your job assignment was down at the packing end, nowhere near the melters? Well, the next shift was showing up soon, and the work order I had wasn't clear, so I asked him to check it out for me. And did he? Detective Conrad asked. No. I felt the hairs on the back of my neck raise. He's the foreman. That's his responsibility. So you got into a fight with him. The detective leaned back and stared at my face. A physical fight over checking a detail on a work order. When he put it like that, it sounded dumb, even to me. Not a fight, I said. More of a disagreement. He leaned forward, but loud enough that people could hear the disagreement. Yeah, I licked my lips. Maybe. I hear you have a hot temper. Did you lay a hand on him? He asked. Not really. He wouldn't get out of my way, so I pushed by him and went back to my workstation. Was he alive when you left? He asked. Yeah, definitely alive. I tried to keep my voice steady. Was I the chief suspect here? I don't know if Margie went back up before she left. She would have seen him if she did. And Hank was on the stairs near the spinners when I left. Mike could tell you if Bryson was still up there. And you were the one who found the body, Detective Conrad said. Yes. They had to realize I couldn't have killed Bryson up by the melters and managed to haul his bulky body down all those stairs through the plant out to the loading dock without anybody noticing, especially with the day shift arriving. I started to say that if I killed him, I would have dumped his body into the glass melter. That didn't sound like a good idea, so I addressed finding the body. I opened the back of the trailer to load it, and there he was. Did you see Bryson after you left him by the melters yesterday? He asked. No, hadn't thought about that. I had to turn the operation over to the day shift tech. Then I clocked out and went home. He tapped his pencil on the notebook. So you didn't see Bryson out by the loading dock? I took a deep breath. No, I didn't go out there. Another tap of the pencil. Or in the parking lot? I took another deep breath. No. His pencil was poised over the page. I understand you sometimes go to that bar down the street when work lets out. Did you see him there? No. I shook my head. The only time I go there is on payday if the checks aren't in, and then I'll wait for a while and come back here to get mine. And you'll have a few drinks then? He asked. Maybe a beer, not a few drinks, I said. He raised his head and glared at me. And then you'll get in your car and you'll drive under the influence? Where was he going with this? Was he trying to get me to admit to drunk driving? Just one beer oughtn't put me over the limit, I said. Detective Conrad stood abruptly. Will you be in town so I can contact you when I have more questions? I knew he couldn't require me to stay around, but I also knew I had a job in an apartment here and no reason to leave. All right, Jack, we're at the deliberation.
Yeah, I don't see how it can be anyone but Hank.
So Clint is paid to make fiberglass, not solve mysteries.
Yes,
but he's
he
in the
is.
middle of this one.
This has been a really fun episode. Normally it's like you are given, like you're searching for the clues. This is just you lived it. This is interesting.
Yeah. Clint is relying on us and his buddy Detective Conrad to get him back into safe harbor. So here is the list of people working Clint's shift that in the order we met them.
Yes.
Hank, not quite the boss.
Not quite the boss. Wish he was the boss. Hates the boss.
He's kind of the boss. Margie, the tech at the hot end, otherwise known as the hot end tech.
I was also just like, I'm the hot one.
Gonzo, the forklift operator.
Yes.
And Julio, the dispatcher.
Yeah, the two of them make this interesting, Gonzo and Julio.
So here's what Conrad has learned from his witnesses/suspects.
Yeah.
At the start of his shift, Bryson was nowhere to be found. Hank
Not
checked
aware.
the manufacturing building, including the silos and the dispatch office. Checking time cards, Hank learned that Bryson hadn't clocked out the previous night.
Indeed.
Cousins Gonzo and Julio no-showed. Hank overheard Bryson chew Julio out and threatened to call immigration. No one knew if Bryson did place the call. Conrad learned the company did not hire undocumented people, but they also didn't go beyond photocopying paperwork for the people they did hire. The cousins were thought to hold green cards.
Yes, they were.
I have to take a sip of tea. My throat's about to tickle.
Yeah. With Gonzo and Julio, I feel like that is just a coincidence, and also we don't have a lot of evidence in that they specifically did it. I'm not sure, like, that they quite have the positioning in which they could have done it. I feel like they're right because their shift ended at the same time as Clint's, didn't it?
They're on the same shift as Clint.
They're on the same shift as Clint. I guess it is suggested that someone in that shift killed Bryson, which honestly, the way I kind of interpreted it was someone in day shift had killed him. But clearly that's not what happened.
Well, let me finish reading these and then we'll go back to that.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. The night before, Clint found Bryson pinning Margie against a control panel, badgering her to meet him after work.
Yes. Gesundheit.
I hope you have a filter on me coughing there. When Clint interrupted, Margie escaped. Irritated, Bryson blocked off the stairwell, forcing Clint to push by him. That was the last time Clint saw Bryson.
Indeed.
At the intermediate level, at the forehearth level, Margie thanked Clint but reminded him that she could take care of herself.
Yes.
As Clint neared the main floor, Hank passed him going up the stairs.
And that's why I think it's Hank.
So Hank backed the hitched trailer into Bay 6, as the work order said. Clint noticed that one of the silos had been dented and the paint scratched off. It was recent enough, though, that the rust hadn't formed. Clint also noticed dark stains on the concrete.
So that's definitely how Bryson died.
The trailer was half full instead of the expected empty. A clipboard lay in the trailer with the same work order Clint was filling, or not the one he was filling, but the one that annoyed him the night before.
Yes.
Bryson's body was found in the gaps between the pallets.
Yeah.
So who should Conrad look at for this dirty deed?
I think Hank. It's not Gonzo or Julio, because they simply don't have anything against them. If it is them, wow, KM, you got me.
Margie?
Margie. I really wanted to call her Margaret for some reason. Margie, I feel like she has a vague motivation, but also she definitely can handle herself. I suppose something could have happened later that would cause her to kill them, but I don't see any evidence pointing to her being the one who did it.
Well, as far as motivation, there's motive for each of them, right? So Hank got passed over for the foreman role.
Yes.
Even though Bryson sucks. Margie, he was basically assaulting.
Yes.
Now I don't remember Julio. He threatened to call immigration on. I guess the only one.
Gonzo. God.
I guess Gonzo being Julio's cousin.
Yes,
that's
that was
the
suggestion
there.
that they would both be in trouble.
So when you said, going through them saying they didn't have a reason, all of them have
they
a reason.
had a reason, but I feel as though Margie has a better grasp on it. I suppose maybe I just misread that.
So you want her read, not Margie?
I don't think it's Margie. I suppose she had Did she have opportunity?
We don't know because we saw everything from Clint's point of view.
Maybe it was Clint. Is Clint a suspect?
No.
Oh, so it's not Clint. I think it has to be Hank. I don't see how it can be the other three. Hank can operate all the machinery, right? I guess any of them could operate it if they wanted to murder him.
Yeah, some of those things weren't answered. We know that Gonzo can run the forklift. We know that Julio's a dispatcher and that he's a yard jockey, so he moves the trailers around. We know that Hank can move trailers around, although apparently not square and center.
So that's one interesting thing, is that if Hank did it, he purposely brought back the trailer that had the body in it. It was a whole field of trailers, right?
Well, there's a whole field of trailers, but if you remember, one trailer was already hitched up to the tractor.
Oh, and he needed to do that one?
I don't know if he needed to, but, if you were stepping in to fill in, wouldn't you take the one that was already attached?
Not if I left a body in it.
Not if I left a body in it.
Like, I'm sorry, but no, I wouldn't have. And it said it took him like half an hour.
Yeah.
Like,
it makes you, like, I've always been really impressed with truck drivers, especially the guys who do the car delivery.
Yeah.
But reading this is like, I think we all take for granted that, oh, what are you so hard? You're just backing something up. But
yeah, I've backed up just a van and just had issues with my summer job last summer. And like, that was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine doing a full 18-wheeler. But no, Hank,
we digressed.
Yes. I don't get why Hank would have done what he did with the trailer. I don't really get why he would bring it back. I feel like that's not a good plan. Like, what was
Do you
his
think it
end
was
goal?
one of those red herring games? Well, it couldn't be me because I wouldn't have brought the trailer back.
It could also be it wouldn't be me because I would have thrown him in the, look at this fire
In
that's
the
so
melter?
hot. He made a distinct, why was he suggesting that there? Okay,
Because he disappeared. The guy disappeared, so he's saying, hey, one way he could disappear would be to go into the melter.
I don't immediately jump to he died.
But he is dead.
But he is dead. And I guess in the context of this being a murder mystery, anyone in the murder mystery would assume he's murdered, right?
And the way that it was described, Clint could see a person lying propped on a roll of insulation. Every now and then a T slips in there. I know it's not insulation.
Mm-hmm.
The torso was wearing a distinctive yellow and black flannel shirt.
Yeah.
A huge gash was torn in the middle of the shirt.
Which is where the forklift stabbed him.
Yeah, I don't quite understand if that means that the body also had a gash, but it was surrounded by dried blood, so I guess so.
Yeah, my interpretation of that is Bryson was up against the whatchamacallit, the silo, and someone drove the forklift into him.
Dude, that's harsh.
Right? Because that's what would have happened in theory. Maybe Hank, by forcing Clint to drive the forklift, he is therefore again kind of trying to frame Clint. Maybe Hank is framing Clint and saying, look, this guy had an argument with him. Look, he drove the forklift. Look, he found the body. Because Hank delivered the body to Clint.
He did. He did deliver the body to Clint.
Maybe Hank is framing Clint.
So you like Hank?
I don't like Hank, but I think Hank did it.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong, man, I got no clue. I was lost.
Figuring it out. I didn't feel much like going straight home, so I did end up at the bar that morning. Given its location near a few factories with 24-hour operations, the bar opened and began serving at 7. Margie was there, so was Hank. Had to have been Gonzo, Hank said. Or Julio. More likely the two of them in cahoots, Margie pointed out. After all, they're cousins. Gonzo probably ran Bryson down in the alley by the silos, where they found his hard hat, loaded the body into the trailer, and then put a few pallets in front of it, closed it up. I remembered the skid marks and the stains. Was it blood? Julio would have been the one to move the trailer away from the dock, and he could have messed up the paperwork so nobody would realize for a while that a few pallets were missing. Too bad he didn't move the trailer all the way to the back, Hank said. It might have been weeks before they found the body. Probably in too much of a rush. If the two of them drove straight through, I bet they're over the border by now. Did Bryson actually call immigration on them? I asked. I don't think so. Hank rubbed some moisture from the side of the glass with his thumb, but he might have. Stupid. Margie stared at the glass in her hand. Wonder if it was an accident or deliberate. We'll probably never know, I said. Well, Margie leaned back, one thing we do know. What's that? Hank said. She picked up her glass. Gonzo and Julio aren't coming back to tell us. The end.
Are you kidding me? Son of a bitch!
Gonzo and Julio together.
It was the stupid obvious answer? Son of a... Are you kidding me?
So one cousin killed him, the other cousin...
Guys, I have not been doing well on this podcast. I have gotten so many wrong recently.
You got the last couple right, didn't you?
You're right. I got the last one right. I don't know if I got it right 2 ones ago. I got Kira Jacobs wrong. I was on a roll for a while, and I have just been on a losing...
Maybe I have to start keeping score again.
I think so. Wow.
I learned so much from this.
So did I. I was just thinking, like, is this how a real factory is run?
So KM worked in a fabrication shop where she operated glass melters related equipment to fiberglass manufacturing.
Wow.
You can tell by the texture.
Yeah, it was so very specific. It was so educated in it, and it was like, well, this is way too real. Yeah. This is... How would you know that fiberglass is, like, stored? I don't know. Like, yeah.
What I found amazing is the idea that if somebody, goes into the melter, that they take out their body weight in glass.
That is awesome, by the way. That's how I want to be cremated. I want to be glassed. You want to be glassed?
Yeah.
There's a new way to cremate people. It's called aquamation. It's with water. I think glassimation would be pretty cool. I want to be... I want to be Han Solo'd, but like glass, like just frozen there, and just like be on my wife's wall for like a decade, and be like, "Who's that? That's Grandpa."
Just wait, like
Grandpa
several.
Over there, he's on the wall.
I was like, just wait lots of decades until I'm dead, because I don't want to see that.
Well, you can also turn your ashes into carbon. So like people make their pets into like rings and diamonds, which is creepy, but. Imagine if you just had a grandma necklace. It wasn't your grandma. It is your grandma.
That is horrible. Where do you come up with these things? Do you vet them? Make sure they're legit before you say them?
No, people really do that. I don't know. I don't think it's done to humans.
People really do that.
People really do that to their pets. Like they get the carbon.
I don't know that it's any better than our poor pets are still in boxes on our bookshelf.
Well, they'll probably be buried with Dad.
They will.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Grandpa's also on the bookshelf.
Grandpa is on the bookshelf.
His ashes haven't been spread yet. It'll happen one day, guys. Don't worry. I remember always seeing those old like jokes about like. For some reason, people would keep their relatives in urns just for an insane amount of time, and I was
because you don't know what to do with them.
You don't know what to do with them. That's why you have urns, I suppose.
Your brother was trying to get something down from a bookshelf like before the holidays, and I'm like, do not touch that box, and whatever you do, don't drop it. He didn't think anything of it. He goes about it, he's like, why not? I'm like, because it's Grandpa.
That's so funny. Anyway, I think possibly just being in a relative's home is the funniest way to be, stored. Just to be there,
Just to be there.
Just to be there.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway. No, but that's my new goal in life is to be glassimated. I'll have to invent it. Oh, that takes a lot of work. Maybe I won't be. Maybe I'll just like, how like you can be turned into like a tree sapling.
No, what are you talking about?
Well, like you can be put into this big old biodegradable like sack basically, and they put a tree sapling on top of you, and you become the tree. Which the only thing I don't like about that is I get it. You return back to nature. It's great. It's wholesome. Your body isn't just sitting in a box forever, but the tree isn't going to live forever. Like imagine having a grave that will one day die. Your grave is going to die. It'll be chopped down. termites might eat your grave. Well, who cares about that? Because worms are going to eat your brains when you're dead.
What kind of tangent are you on?
I'm just saying, it's weird we make such pretty boxes to be eaten,
Okay, let's introduce
we should
people
make
to
more
our friend
biodegradable.
KM Rockwood.
Okay, KM.
And get off of whatever tangent you're
KM
on.
started this. She started this. She glassinated a dude. She talked about glassinating a dude.
Oh, so for the sticky means, this one could have gone a couple different ways.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah. I ended up motion because I visually was thinking about the forklift.
Yeah, smashing into him.
And because, even if it was a puncture, that still is caused by the motion.
Yes. You could also call it, is there another one? Force?
No, we have pressure.
Pressure. So you could technically, it's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure.
Real fast, real quick, one
usually
spot.
when we've done pressure, it's been...
Well, pressure, because pressure was silo episode, right?
Pressure was silo.
And that's a very different use of it. And I think that's much more, it's wider.
Yes.
It's a wider use of pressure. Or it has to be, I don't know, like a smashing or a crushing. And this wasn't really, it was a crushing,
it was more of a
but
puncturing.
it was more of it was a puncture. So
we're going
I'd agree
with
motion.
Oh, wait, I didn't read the KM's bio.
Yeah?
Okay. So KM Rockwood draws on varied backgrounds for her stories. She definitely does. You should listen to all of her Mysteries to Die For stories. Among them, working as a laborer in a steel fabrication plant, operating glass melters and related equipment in a fiberglass manufacturing facility, and supervising an inmate work crew in a large medium security state prison. These jobs, as well as work as a special education teacher in an alternative high school and a GED teacher in a county detention facility, provide most of the backgrounds for her novels and short stories.
KM has the darkest stories on this podcast, so be prepared.
But
they are the greatest stories.
But they're like the most human stories.
They are.
And man, she could write for the Twilight Zone too, because you're like, whoa, I never saw that coming.
Yes.
Check out her website, KMRockwood, all one word.com. So that wraps up this episode of Mysteries to Die For. Support our show by subscribing, telling a mystery lover about us, and giving us a 5-star review. Check out our website, m2d4podcast.com, for the links to this season's authors. And check out our social media. We are working to get it up and running and live. We are on Instagram at Mysteries to Die For, all spelled out. And we're on Facebook at M2D4 Podcast, I think. Isn't that what our Facebook handle is?
I think.
We know. We're experts. Mysteries to Die For is hosted by TG Wolff and Jack Wolff. Occupational Hazard was written by KM Rockwood. Music and production are by Jack Wolff. Episode art is by TG Wolff. Join us next week for A Toe Tag, which is a first chapter and a fresh release in the mystery, crime, or thriller genre. And then come back in 2 weeks for our next original story, where chemical is our sticky means of murder. It's Huey and Madeline, Dead Heat, by Will A. Emerson. All right, Jack, take us out.